Welcome to Film Flicks Recaps. Today we are going to explain an American action thriller film, John Wick, Chapter 2. The movie opens with John Wick speeding down the streets, chasing his stolen car. He's driving recklessly, swerving through traffic and cutting corners expertly. John finally tracks down the warehouse where his car is being held captive by Abram Tarasov, the ruthless gangster seeking revenge against John for killing his brother and nephew. John unleashes his fury, taking down every guard in his way as he makes his way to his car. The action is intense, with John using his expert martial arts skills to take down the heavily armed goons. But the goons are relentless, and a fierce car chase ensues as John fights to escape. He expertly maneuvers his way through city streets, avoiding oncoming traffic and dodging bullets. The car chase reaches a fever pitch as John's car takes a beating and he's forced to ditch it. But he's not deterred, and he continues his pursuit on foot. He finally goes to Abram's office, where he's met with a barrage of gunfire. John and Abram come face to face, and John offers a truce. He pours them both a drink, but the tension in the room is palpable. Abram can't resist taunting John, questioning his ability to find peace after everything he's been through. But John remains cool and collected, ready for whatever comes his way. John comes home to his empty house where the dog from the first movie is waiting for him. He feels the weight of all that has transpired in the past few days. He calls Aurelio, his trusted mechanic, to pick up his car, which is now nothing more than a heap of metal. As Aurelio tows the car away, John is reminded of all the violence and death that his life as an assassin has brought upon. He feels a deep sense of exhaustion and decides that he wants out of the game for good. He holds his weapons in his hand and looks at them, and he knows that this is the last time he will ever hold them. With a heavy heart, he buries them beneath the cement, symbolically burying his past as an assassin. Feeling a sense of closure, John watches videos on his phone of his late wife Helen. As he watches the video, he is transported back to a happier time in his life. He remembers the love he shared with Helen and the life they had built together. But now, with Helen gone and his life as an assassin behind him, John knows that he must find a new purpose to keep going, and it is the dog he has. Later that night, John is visited by Santino D'Antonio, a ruthless assassin, who arrives at his doorstep on a dark and ominous night. He presents John with a marker, a symbol of an unbreakable blood oath between assassins, and demands that John carry out one last kill for him. Reluctantly, John refuses, knowing full well the consequences. Santino leaves after admiring John's home, and John closes the door, feeling a sense of impending doom. Outside, Santino retrieves an RPG launcher and aims it directly at John's house. The explosion is deafening, and debris and flames engulf everything in its path. John is thrown back by the force of the blast, and his heart sinks as he realizes that his home, the only remaining connection to his beloved wife Helen, is gone. Amidst the chaos, John sees his companion, the dog he rescued from the first movie, alive and unharmed. He holds the dog close as he processes the devastation around him. John heads to the Continental Hotel where he meets Winston, the imposing manager of the hotel, and explains the dire circumstances surrounding the marker that Santino has presented him with. Winston listens intently, but his response is grim. There is nothing he can do to help John since he has already taken the oath. If he refuses to fulfill the marker, his life will be forfeited, and every assassin in the world will be after him. John's world crumbles around him as he realizes the gravity of the situation. He can feel the weight of Santino's demands bearing down on him, threatening to crush him. He knows that he has only one option: to accept the marker and carry out the task. As John prepares to leave, he entrusts his beloved dog to the care of Karen, the hotel's stoic and reliable concierge. John's heart pounds in his chest as he steps into the dimly lit room where Santino D'Antonio is waiting for him. His senses are on high alert, ready for any sudden moves from the ruthless assassin. Santino's piercing gaze meets John's, and without hesitation, he presents him with a proposition that turns his world upside down. Santino wants John to kill his own sister, Gianna, a powerful figure who is set to ascend to the High Table, a group of elite assassins. John travels to Rome with only the essentials, his wits and a single suitcase. Upon arrival, he checks into the Continental, a luxurious hotel that has long catered to the needs of the world's deadliest assassins. Knowing that he needs the right tools for the job, John wastes no time seeking out the best arms dealers and black market contacts in Rome. With their help, he acquires a cache of exotic weapons, from rare antique blades to state-of-the-art firearms. However, even with the best equipment money can buy, John knows that he'll need to rely on his own cunning and fighting skills to take down Gianna, a formidable opponent in her own right. He spends hours studying the blueprint of her mansion and has one of the best tailors make his bulletproof suits. Finally, The night of Gianna's coronation arrives. John dons his finest suit and makes his way to the event using a hidden route. Along the way, he hides guns which will be useful to him when he leaves. Meanwhile, Gianna enters the party with her loyal bodyguard, Cassian, who informs her to discuss a matter with another assassin. After finishing the discussion, she moves to the bathroom to check her makeup. Finding the right moment, John makes his move and confronts Gianna alone. He tells her that Santino has sent him, and she chooses to die on her own terms. Gianna undresses herself and moves into the bathtub where she slits her wrists. John watches as she falls, bleeding out. He hesitates for a moment, but then steels himself and puts a bullet in her head to make it look like he killed her. As he walks away, he comes across Cassian, and he knows that he'll have to fight. After a brutal fight between them, he comes out using his same approach as the way he went in and kills everyone who comes into contact with him. To his surprise, Santino has also sent his men to kill John, who attacks him from outside. Eventually, he kills everyone, finally left with Cassian. They pursue a great fight until stopped by the hotel manager. They end the day with a drink. John's heart pounds as he heads back to New York City, knowing that a $7 million contract to kill him has been put out by Santino, his former employer. He's barely had time to catch his breath before danger comes for him. In the subway, John's senses are on high alert. Suddenly, a violinist pulls out a gun from her instrument and aims at him. John's reflexes are quick, and he subdues her with a swift, brutal move that breaks her neck. But the danger doesn't stop there. A heavy-set Asian man lunges at John, but he is no match for the expert assassin, who kills him instantly. Two other men join in, thinking they can take down John, but he makes quick work of them using only a pencil. As John boards the train, he knows Cassian, Gianna's loyal bodyguard, is on his trail. Cassian finds him and the two fight viciously on the train. John stabs Cassian, pushing the knife deep into his aorta, and warns him not to pull it out or he will bleed to death. John leaves Cassian on the train, knowing the danger is far from over. Running for his life, John comes across an assassin disguised as a homeless man and asks for help. Just as he's catching his breath, two other assassins disguised as janitors pursue him. But the homeless assassin reveals his true identity and takes them both out, giving John a chance to escape. In his desperate attempt to escape Santino's wrath, John seeks refuge in the unlikely place, the Bowery King's lair. The king, a formidable assassin himself, crossed paths with John and bore the scars to prove it. Despite their history, John's plea for help touches the king's heart, and he agrees to help. The king is well aware of the $7 million bounty on John's head, and he knows the stakes are high. With his help, he is able to trace Santino's location. With a mission in mind, John makes his way to the museum where Santino is set to take his place at the high table. As he infiltrates the event, chaos ensues. John takes down Santino's men one by one, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. In an intense chase through a hall of mirrors, John finally catches up with Santino. But before he can pull the trigger, Ares, one of Santino's henchwomen, steps in to fight John. The two engage in a brutal brawl, with Ares proving to be a worthy opponent. However, John manages to get the upper hand and delivers a fatal stab to Ares. Santino, realizing he is in danger, runs to the Continental for refuge, knowing he is untouchable there. But John is not one to be stopped by rules. He tracks Santino down to the lounge, where a tense standoff ensues. Winston, the owner of the Continental, tries to reason with John and prevent him from committing a fatal act. But John is determined to get his revenge and, without hesitation, pulls the trigger, blowing Santino's brains out. With the deed done, John seeks solace in the familiar presence of his beloved dog. He heads to Karen, the concierge of the Continental, to retrieve him. As he walks away from the scene of the crime, John knows that he will forever be marked as an enemy of the high table. The next day, John takes his dog and meets with Winston at the park. But before they can even exchange pleasantries, Winston informs John that he has a serious problem. Because John killed on Continental grounds, the high table has doubled the bounty on his head and sent the contract out to every assassin in the world. Winston tells John he must mark him as excommunicado, but gives him 1 hour to prepare before the contract takes effect. As they part ways, John senses something is off. Suddenly, he realizes that every person in the park is staring at him, each one an assassin sent to collect the bounty on his head. With no time to waste, John tells Winston to let everyone know that if they come after him, he will kill them all. Winston agrees, but the tension in the air is palpable. As John walks away, every passing person looks at him with an intensity that he's never seen before. John's senses are heightened as he tries to stay one step ahead of the assassins hot on his trail. He knows he has to keep moving if he wants to survive, so he takes his dog and keeps on running. As always, we want to hear from you, so be sure to share your thoughts in the comments section below. And, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.